Today marks 100 days of President Trump's second term, and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has nothing but praise for the president. He told Fox News Digital that Trump has already accomplished more than quote, most politicians or presidents accomplish in their entire lifetimes. He talked about 110 executive orders signed. But the Democrats, who still cannot find the right party messaging, say the president is failing in round two, and they will still resist his agenda. Here's Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Watch.
It's been 100 days of hell for American families, for our economy, and for our democracy. The start of Donald Trump's second term has been the worst start of any president in modern times.
No mention of inflation being down and border crossings being down 99%. Joining me now is former House Speaker and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for weighing in here.
I'm glad to be with you, Maria.
Newt, how would you assess President Trump's first 100 days?
Well, I think it depends on whether he can sustain the momentum. So far, he's off to an extraordinary start, certainly rivaling President Franklin D. Roosevelt. If he can sustain this, and if he can win the 2026 election, he'll be one of the 5 most consequential change agents since the founding of the country. Jefferson, Jackson, Lincoln, and FDR were the first 4. And this would, if Trump succeeds, he will have ended the Roosevelt machine after 90 years. That'll be an extraordinary achievement. He's certainly on the way to doing it. Look, it's going to be rocky for a while. You can't have this scale of change and not have disruptions. But the interesting thing about President Trump is, given everything he's been through, he's comfortable moving forward, doing what he believes in, and having faith that ultimately it'll work.
You know, I think it's really important to step back and put this into context, Newt, because the truth is this president has had the courage to rip the Band-Aid off on so many issues that are critical for America. That is communist China and their creeping dominance, getting manufacturing and supply chains back to America so we're not reliant on China for our prescription drugs, so we're not reliant on Taiwan for our advanced semiconductor chips, as well as reining in what was probably the most significant impact on the American people under Joe Biden, and that is inflation, sky-high inflation. You look at the price of food, egg prices, oil prices, all down sharply. So do you think the president is getting the credit that he deserves for sticking to his guns and ensuring that, in fact, now the country is safer with the border secure?
Look, there are, not counting the Democrats in Congress, there are 3 great centers of resistance. The fake news, the district judges, who have been senators, and the Congressional Budget Office. All 3 are bastions of left-wing thinking. All 3 are going to try to undermine the president. There were 2 polls that came out, and John McLaughlin, who is a pollster for Trump, pointed out one of the polls had 36% of the sample was Republican. Trump, of course, got 50%. The other poll had 34% of the sample Republican. Well, guess what? If you cheat and take out a third of Trump's vote, you can produce a poll that shows he's not doing very well. The fact is, this is a long struggle. He is taking apart a corrupt, decaying system that was gradually killing the country. He's also got problems, whether it's Canada or Europe or elsewhere, because he's challenging a system that was decaying and failing. And I think that causes people heartburn. You know, if your brother-in-law is used to the idea that you're going to loan him your car, pay for the gasoline, and also buy him dinner, and one morning you say to him, you know, I'm done doing that, he's going to be resentful because he thinks they're his rights. And that's part of what we're seeing from our allies around the world is people who had basically mooched off of us are very offended that we're saying, hey, we're going to put America first. We expect you to put Germany first or Canada first. But that is an enormous shock because for over a half century, they've learned that we'll carry them and that they can ride on our backs.
I think this is a great point that you make. And another good point is, okay, you've had the successes in the first 100 days, but you've got to finish this job here. You've got to win the 2026 election, the midterms. Otherwise, the Democrats are going to be real problematic. The president met with the speaker yesterday, Mike Johnson, to talk about budget reconciliation. They met at the White House. Here's the speaker. Watch.
This next few weeks is going to be critical. We're working on the big, beautiful bill, the reconciliation bill. I think it's going to be a great piece of legislation. It's going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to be turbo fuel, a turbo boost for the economy, and we're looking forward to getting that done.
Now, Newt, the House Education, Homeland Security, Armed Services, and Judiciary Committees are releasing text recommendations for budget reconciliation. We should talk about what the future holds in the near term. They're talking about having a bill on the president's desk by Memorial Day, but having those tax cuts extended by July 4th. Do you believe that's doable?
Yeah, I think that the challenge will be in the Senate. The Senate always takes longer. The very nature of the body, its rules, make it much more challenging. But I have to say, Speaker Mike Johnson is doing an extraordinary job. He has almost no margin for error. He listens patiently to everybody. They inch by inch, his team, including the committee chairs and the leadership, they just keep moving forward. And he set the pace. He and the president said one big, beautiful bill. The Senate didn't particularly like it. Ultimately, they went along. And I have to say, John Thune is doing a great job as the Senate Majority Leader and herding those senators in the right direction day after day.
Yes.
But yeah, I think. No,
and we spoke with Senator Bill Hagerty a few minutes ago, and I asked him for an update in terms of when he's expecting that bill to be on the president's desk. Watch this.
Yeah, I met with a group of House leaders last night. They are working apace to get their piece of the reconciliation package done by Memorial Day. It's our job in the Senate, I spoke with Leader Thune yesterday, to move as quickly as we possibly can to get the reconciliation package done right after Memorial Day. We need to be moving apace to get certainty locked into our tax code so that companies can make the type of capital commitments that we want to see happen in 2026.
And of course, Newt, we look ahead to the future. Near term, the president's going to take a trip to Saudi Arabia. He's got the G7 in Alberta. He's got these tariffs, the 232 tariffs coming, lumber, copper, pharmaceuticals, and semis, the reciprocal tariff deadline, and a deadline for TikTok. August 7th will be the first 200-day mark, Newt.
Well, look, you have to give President Trump enormous credit just for sheer energy.
Yeah.
I have a hunch that the meeting in Saudi Arabia is going to be very, very important. You know, and he's making progress on a lot of different fronts. Some of them are frustrating. Some of them are up and down or zigzag. But that's the nature of this scale of change. I mean, I urge all of our viewers, if you want to understand what this scale change is like, go back and look at Jefferson or look at Jackson or look at Lincoln or look at FDR. These things are not a straight line. They're not easy. And I think that the key here is going to be message discipline. I'll give you one example. There is no cut in Medicaid. Medicaid spending goes up every single year. Washington's the only city in the country where an increase is a cut. And I think if Republicans can learn the kind of message discipline we had when we balanced the budget for 4 straight years, they're going to win this fight. And they're going to be in a position to say to the country, we're giving you an improved, better system, and I think the American people will support it.
All right. We will leave it there. Newt, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for that fantastic assessment. Newt Gingrich. We're just getting started this hour. We've got a lot coming up.